Hi, it's Alex from Plasmic team, and today we'll learn how to do A/B testing using Plasmic. We will cover some topics around what A/B testing is, why you might need it, and how to connect A/B tests to the Google Analytics. In the end of the video, you will learn how to create a simple project with some A/B tests in the Plasmic Studio and differentiate what are the different types of A/B tests are out there. Let's begin. If you don't know what A/B testing is, I will explain it using a very simple example. Let me pull up my board. So imagine that you're having some simple e-commerce website. Each e-commerce website contains at least some product banners, and let's try to draw it. So this is our banner. We can have some heading on it, or maybe product title. And this banner most likely also would have an image of that product, well, and a price tag. And now we want to experiment with this product. We have two versions in our mind. We're at the situation where we don't really know what would be more captivating for a user and what will engage him more to buy the product. And we have two options that are fairly similar. This is the exact situation where A/B test comes into play. You can create two versions or more of your landing page where each would have a different image, and they would be shown only to some portion of your users. If we are about to draw it, it will look something like this. So let's copy this whole thing and say, we will call it version B. And let's replace our cool image with another cool image, or like also cool image, but another one. And this is the only difference in this page. Only the image is different. And this is how we can differentiate and measure how this will perform by showing it to different users in different times, and then comparing it in terms of what performed the most, where you had most conversions. This whole process is called A/B testing. Now you know it. So again, I must repeat that you're not limited only to two versions. A/B testing scenario allows you to have multiple versions, and you have multiple ways to experiment with them. You can nest the different A/B tests, so you can have multiple of them running at the same time. But most of the times it is recommended to have only one version of the A/B test running, so that you have two changes and you can distinguish them in a simplified manner, so you can evaluate which changes brought the most benefit. So most of the time A/B testing is used to enhance UX flows and remove the steps of the funnel which are not working great, experiment with user content, and lots of other cases. So like if we are talking about the funnels, so let's again, on the example of the e-commerce website, say that we have user sees a product, adds into a cart, and then checks out. And if you have a lot of steps in between step 2 and step 3, most likely you would want to change some of the fields in your experience in between the carts and the checkout, and try multiple versions to optimize the flow. So I guess that is more or less clear. Now, as we transition to another stage of understanding of A/B testing, there are a few methods out there that allow you to distribute your pages to the end users. So the first way is called segmentation, and we will show pages based on some traits that a user has. So let's title it segmentation, and let's say a user has a trait called age. We can take it from cookies or whatsoever. We can also call it location, because location is present in the cookies always. So let's say location is user from UK. If he's from UK, he will see version A, version that is basic. If he's not from UK, he will see the overwritten version with another image. And that's basically it. The gist of this approach is to pick some traits of your users that you think would make sense to show different content, and based on that you would be able to conduct your A/B test experiment. So the second approach would be to just randomly distribute users into two groups, where one sees page B and another one sees group A. And each group needs to have some sort of a probability percentage, meaning that, let's say, users in the group A will see the page A 40% of the time, and the users in group B would see the page B 60% of the time, the rest of the distribution. And yeah, the algorithms automatically split users into groups based on those configured probabilities, and you don't have to bother about that. We will cover both of the approaches in this video, and I'll show you how to configure them in Plasmic. Enough with the theory, let's actually start building. We'll start by going to the example project that I'll link in the video description and click a deploy with Vercel button on it. So this is the example project that I have in mind. We will need a backend to manage our split content. For that, let's fork one of our example repositories and host it on Vercel. It's very easy, no coding involved. Usually, most of the applications that provide no-code solutions, most of the platforms tend to create the split content functionality using the client-side rendering, but this is not very efficient in terms of the SEO and the page speed loads, so therefore we provide the approach which is called SSR and SSG. So we statically generate all of the versions before we serve them to users, which allows you to get excellent page speed scores. And as far as I'm aware, we are the only ones who currently support this kind of solutions. So in order to create your repository and your Vercel server, you would need to go to this link. I will link it in the description of the video, and you'd need to click the button deploy. This will automatically prompt you to create a new repository in your GitHub account. Let's set up the name for our repository. I'll call it split content example. It would be created in our scope for a personal project. I will pick my account, and you would need to pick the team. Most likely you will only have one, and then you just need to hit the button create. Make sure this toggle is enabled so that other people will not be able to see your project. We will hit the button create. In the meantime, while it's cloning the repository and creating the deployment, I will show you how it will look in your account. So we will go to the account, click your repositories, and then we should see it on the top of the list. So let's investigate what's inside it. It should be the same README and contents of the template that you saw previously. So the main file that you would be interested in is called Plasmic init. And in it, you would have the ID of your project and the token. You would be able to find these variables in the top, in the URL bar of the Chrome, and the public API token would be visible in the code, and then you can just copy it from within here. In order to change it, just click the edit button if you're not very familiar with the code editors, and paste your values in here and then commit the changes. I would not do it for now because I would mostly show you how it looks like in the, or actually no, let's create a separate project and I will embed my variables into this file. So I will go back to dashboard and create a completely new project for you. So okay, while we were exploring this, our website just got deployed. So we can continue to the dashboard and it will show us to which domain it got deployed. So you will be able to find it here. Let's click it and check if everything was created. Okay, great. So as you see, it says version B. It means that we've got randomly assigned with the version B of this page. I have two versions in here, and the things that changed are the title in here and the image. So if you want to check how the version A looks like, we can go to the project, or no, actually let's try to see if we would be able to get it from here. So we can remove the, I don't see the names, but most likely it is here. You see the cookie called Plasmic experience, and it's set to some ID, which means that this ID is connected to this version. And after the user will initially see the page, he will continue to see the exact same version until you will cancel it or promote it. So now we see the version A, and the image changed, and the Plasmic value also got changed. This specific type of test also got the seed parameter. This seeds concept is a bit complicated. You would not need to dive deep to understand it, but in short terms, this is our way to reduce the amount of ISR cache misses. So we would statically assign a number to the combination of the versions, so that upon some amount of user page views, they would be able to eventually hit the cache, reducing the cost for your deployments. So this is for the random experiments. And let's see how the trait-based segmentation works. So clicking this button would actually set the cookie with the age equal to 30. So when I click it, you would be able to refresh the page and see the different variation of it. Okay, so the cookie is set. You see that the cookie has been set to 30, and this is why you see this page. Unsetting this would actually clear it, and you would see the old version. So now let's try to create something on our own. So I will go to my workspace and create a new project. Okay, so I will start with the blank website. We need to give it a minute to load. Perfect. So we've got some default content in here. Let's use it for our tests. So in order to create a split content, you need to hover over this button with the 3 dots in it, and then hit the split content. This would allow you to create 3 types of split content that I mentioned previously. So the first one is the random one that I explained, where you have different probabilities, and based on those probabilities, you will see different versions of the pages. Second one is based on the traits. Again, I explained it as a segmentation. So you pick the set of rules that the user has, and then based on that, he will see that or another page. And the scheduled content is when you want to release something in some limited time frames. Let's say you have some promotion going on, and then you would be able to schedule your promotion in this time frame, so that you would not have to worry about manually deploying your changes at 1st of March, let's say, and then deprecating them at March 30th. So let's try to create our A/B test first. So we will set it to half and half. Let's not change this limit, but if you want to, it will automatically change the distribution on the second one. Let's set our name for this experiment to first A/B test. It is off by default, so that you don't accidentally launch the A/B test you don't want to. Description is optional. It's just for you to distinguish the A/B test that you created. My cool, A/B test. And then if you want to change something on the page, you need to click the button Edit and change the contents. So welcome to the B version. You will notice that the indicator turned red when we are recording, the same as with the variance. Check out our other videos about variance if you don't know what that is. And in order to stop, you just need to hit this button, which will create a different version of this page. Now let's turn it on. We will also create a new targeted content. So let's say we would have it as our first segment. Let's leave the name as it is. And then we need to set the edit rules. You can have groups of logic, meaning that if we are to translate it to the human language, let's say you have two statements, age is 30 and location is US. That would mean that a user would have either both of those parameters as true, or both of those parameters, or either of those parameters. So any might be one of the conditions for the group, or. So you would be able to change this in this dropdown. So for now we will go with all of them, and for now we only have one parameter called time. This is not very useful, so you have this link explaining how to create custom traits. So let's try and create some. For that, we would need to connect our application to the app host that is running on the Vercel. So first, let's publish our first version so that it is available. Let's hit publish. We have our application ID in here. Let's switch it here, and we also need to have our public API token. Commit changes. Done. This will automatically launch the deployment. So as you see here, it is building our new application with our project connected to it. So let me close this one. So while it is building, we can switch up our URLs. So you have the domain in here. We can click it again, copy it. And then if you want to connect your application host, you need to go here and configure custom app host. So just paste it in here and type Plasmic host, confirm. You will also need to paste it again. Make sure that you don't have the protocol here and the / at the end, and confirm. This should connect our backend to our studio in Plasmic. So your website that is hosted gives the information back to our studio. And if you will pay closer attention, we have a trait registered in here, which is called age. And it is of type number, and the label is age. This is what is visible in our studio. So now we are able to go to our segment, edit the rules, and if we will go here, we will see the age in here. And now we can do any operations. Let's say age is 30, the same as in the previous example, and hit the close button. Let's record the changes for homepage and say that welcome, you're 30. That should be enough. And now we need to push these changes to our Vercel server. In order not to go every time to the Vercel dashboard and hit manual redeploy, you can do it from this dashboard. This is a little bit not performant. I would rather suggest you to go to the project settings and then go to Git And if you will scroll down, you will see the deploy hooks in here. Type in my Plasmic deploy hook. The naming doesn't matter. Set the branch to main as it suggests to, and click the create hook. Copy it, and then when you will go to publish, you are able to call webhooks. Hit new webhook and paste your value in here. And now, every time you publish your new changes, they will appear in Vercel. So let's check what it is here now. So this is our basic version. And now hit publish. You can check the progress. So the state is pending, meaning it's deploying right now. Let's go to the deployments. And as you see, it automatically created a deployment based on our new published version. So it says just now via deploy hook. Let's wait for it to build and observe if it changed anything. While we are waiting, we can also explore the UI for the scheduled content. So you have a start date here, the end date, and the changes. Nothing way too different. Also, you might have noticed that you have external IDs in here. So we will go into that a little bit further in the tutorial, and I'll explain you how you can connect these external IDs to your Google Analytics. So sometimes you might want to tag your versions, let's say. And these tags later on can be used in the Google Analytics dashboard to distinguish your content, which performs better, which has a higher retention rates and lower churns. I guess by now it should have been deployed. Let's reset the cache for this page so that we see a new version, and let's actually try to set the age to 30 as we have as in our example. Yeah, this one works. And if we will remove our experiment, it might take a few times. We should see our A/B test. Yeah, exactly. Here it is. So everything is working. Now that we've configured our split content for both segmentation and experiments, you can see that they can function both at once. I can explain to you how you can register your traits. So if we will go to the segment test and edit rules, you can open up our documentation and see how you can add different traits. So let's say you want to add the option type. So just go into this file, click edit this file, and just paste whatever you want. And then commit changes. This should automatically add the trait into your studio, and it should be available there. And the next thing that you need to do is to go to the middleware and set the traits in here as well. So if you have it in the cookies, just copy this line and add the value of the name that you have in your Plasmic init to here as well. So let's say color, and done. So now it should recognize the color. And as for the analytics, so we have a way to add the analytics to your application. You would need to add a few lines of code into the initialization of the page so that you have your account connected. I would not go too deep into the how you can do everything in the Google Studio, because that's already explained on their end. But I will show you how to install it. So we have our documentation in here, which suggests you that you need to connect your external IDs based on the variation, and external IDs passed in here. As well, you would need to add the script for your Google Analytics into your catch-all file, which you can find in your repository. And after doing that, it would be just enough to link the experiment, the original version, and the override to the values that you need, like segment A override, like original segment test. So filling out these values would then be enough to get going with the split content. That should get you started with most of the options that you need. So feel free to ask questions in the comments and hit the subscribe button. We will be always glad to hear any feedback that you have around this process. See you in the next one.